Thank you, Peter. This talk is about arthroscopic triple fusion for hindfoot deformity, but this is the end of the road. You need to be good at doing ankle fusion for deformity and tibio-talar calcaneal deformity before you start doing triple fusions, particularly for severe deformity. They're all built on the same principles, and that's the lateral hindfoot endoscopy. And you develop those skills with doing severe ankle deformity, actually, working in the lateral gutter and in the lateral hindfoot space. But this talk is just going to focus on triple and pantalar fusion. The setup has to prioritise the lateral hindfoot endoscopy. That is the key thing, and if it's not well set up, there will be a fight for trying to get this done. So you have to ensure that you can get a good lateral position. Usually, the hip can be externally rotated for you to access the ankle or the talonavicular joint. If there's little hip external rotation, then you can release the back support to allow the patient to come back once you've done the lateral side. But the priority is making sure the lateral side is well set up. I use a 4mm scope and a 4.5mm hooded bone shaver, and no distraction. The portals are placed with a perineal portal first. This is placed behind the fibula, 2 centimetres up from the tip of the fibula. So it's in line with the back of the posterior facet. This goes through the bed of the perineal tendons, and they have to be pushed posteriorly in order to safeguard them. In severe deformity, I will actually do a peroneus brevis release and transfer to the peroneus longus in order to try and bring the first metatarsal down and release the eversion, so this incision can be extended to a 2 or 3 centimetre incision to enable that tendon transfer to be done. The next portal is the sinus tarsi portal. This is just in the soft spot of the hind foot, just anterior to the lateral process. In a small foot, this will be sufficient to reach the calcaneal cuboid joint and the inferior lateral part of the talonavicular joint. But in a larger foot, you'll need an additional calcaneal cuboid portal. This is made superior to the tip of the anterior process, between the lateral talonavicular joint and the anterior process. And finally, the medial talonavicular portal is made. This is made right at the end of surgery, once all the lateral side has been done and the foot has been externally rotated. As I said, this begins with being comfortable with arthroscoping in the lateral gutter, and this starts with ankle fusion and tibio-talar calcaneal fusion. So you have to be comfortable working in that space, and then you have to move from one landmark to another. The first landmark is that the camera comes in from the sinus tarsi, and the shaver comes in through the perineal portal. And the first target is to identify the lateral process. From there, move to the FHL tendon, and in that way you know that you've got right the way across the subtalar joint. From there is to move forward into the middle facet and remove that under direct vision. This is essential for deformity correction. And from there to move into the anterior facet. This is a small articular facet, but it's important to take this out as well to prevent the talus from dorsiflexing if you do all your work at the back of that space. But the key thing is that this is your access into the talonavicular joint. And from here you can approach the inferior part of the talonavicular joint, and then you can reach into the dorsomedial part of the talonavicular joint. This is the hardest bit to do, but by this stage everything else is mobilised, so you have the freely mobile talonavicular joint. So the first step is to identify the lateral process. Once that's done, you can then follow with the shaver right back to the along the posterior facet, and then sharp shaving across the posterior facet. Once you identify the FHL tendon, you can ensure that you remove adequate bone from the medial side. The temptation with open surgery is to do all your work on the lateral side and not do enough on the medial side. From the FHL tendon, you can then identify the middle facet. This is hidden between dense interosseous talocalcaneal ligament, which needs to be removed. Once you shave through there, and you can see it right deep in the depths of the scope portal there, that's the middle facet. And from there you can follow it into the anterior facet. The calcaneal cuboid joint is easy. I know that there's a move towards doing dipple fusions and avoiding doing the calcaneal cuboid joint, but this is actually quite important for deformity correction to get mobility through Chopin's joint, even if this joint isn't degenerate. This particular calcaneal cuboid joint is degenerate, and it's actually a pretty easy operation. It takes a few minutes, and so it's not a problem to add this on. The talonavicular joint is approached from inferior. This is just through the anterior process, anterior facet, looking up into the talonavicular joint. Once this is prepared and mobilized, you start clearing the joint, and you try to do this in a concentric fashion that maintains the anatomical alignment, and then finally I do a microfracture through that area. I use standard screw fixation, but as we'll come back to, the lateral talonavicular screw was frequently malpositioned in my series of patients, and so I do a mini open approach for this now. I've presented a number of cases. Yesterday we had a paper presentation with 21 cases of severe deformity, which was done for this talk. This previous talk was just 16 for severe deformity. This included 4 patients with tarsal coalition, and a number of other procedures were also done. Patients are put into cast and non-weight bearing for 2 weeks. Then they become weight bearing at 2 weeks in either cast or a boot. If those who go into boots start ankle range of motion exercises, and after 6 weeks I wean out of the boot once the CT scan has confirmed union. All patients were followed up with a CT scan. This was initially done at 12 weeks, but it became apparent that people were fusing much earlier than this, so I've moved to do my CT scan routinely at 8 weeks. Union was independently diagnosed according to the radiologist's assessment of whether there was more than 66% of bone fusion across the joints. And in all joints, there was a union in every single patient that was operated on. CT scan, however, which was done initially to follow up these patients for assessing their fusion, turned up something else that was really interesting, and that it was that I was not very good at putting the screws in. The malposition rate was really high. In the total series for severe deformity, 8 out of 21 patients had malposition screws which were impinging on adjacent joints. And some of them were asymptomatic and had not been spotted at all on the X-ray, including one that was impinging on the ankle joint. But as this was diagnosed at 8 weeks, it was easy to remove this. The fusion mash that occurs with this is really impressive. There's really good bone healing. And to give you an example of a patient, this is a patient I operated on for a tarsal coalition on the 3rd of October, and the CT scan is the 5th of December, and this is actually a patient where 2 of the screws were malpositioned. But if you look at the calcaneal cuboid joint and then come through into the posterior facet, bear in mind this is at 8 weeks post-op and she's been walking in a boot. That screw tip was actually not evident on the X-rays at all. But I was able to remove that screw at 8 weeks because I knew that there was a full fusion present. And the fusion mass is really good, and it goes right through to the middle facet and across the talonavicular joint. I think this is easier to correct severe deformity with an arthroscope because you can ensure that particularly for valgus deformity, you can ensure that the bone removal on the lateral side is minimal, just the amount of the shaver, but that all the bone removal is occurring on the medial side. In this fashion. It's important to address the other procedures. In first ray correction, peroneus brevis, longus transfer, and gastric release were very common additional procedures. These are the outcomes in patients with severe deformity. The average calcaneal valgus was 37 degrees pre-operative and went down to 13 degrees post-op. There was a significant talonavicular uncoverage and abnormality of talonavicular angle, which is corrected well. And to give you an idea of the kind of deformity, this is a patient who had an arthroscopic pantalar fusion with an MIS lapidus in one sitting. These are the right foot and the left foot. The right foot is pre-surgery and we're going to operate on them in a couple of weeks. The left foot was operated on last year. In the complications, I had one infection, which was in the open peroneus brevis longus side. A number of patients had their screws removed for malposition, and a number for calcaneal heel pain because of the subtalar screw, which is quite common. But these screws were removed early. There's one patient with symptomatic halitolymatus due to residual metatarsus elevatus. There were no infections at the portal sites or soft tissue complications, no nerve injuries, no thromboses. This is what a foot looks like at 2 weeks. This is a patient with rheumatoid arthritis who's on anti-TNFs and is 2 weeks following an arthroscopic triple fusion. This is a patient at 5 weeks. These patients are placed into a boot, and so they've already been starting to do range of motion exercises. This patient is 9 weeks after a right arthroscopic triple fusion and 5 months after a left arthroscopic triple fusion, so they had them staggered 5 months apart, 4 months apart. So in summary, arthroscopic triple fusion is a very useful procedure for patients with poor soft tissues, arteriopathy, and rheumatoid arthritis. I think it's especially useful for patients with deformity and coalition. It allows early mobilisation and weight bearing. These are early stages. I've only done 29 patients for severe deformity, but they're showing 100% union rate, CT proven. And also CT has got its uses in diagnosing additional issues that you may find in surgery that's not being picked up in your plain X-rays. Thank you.